Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Friday wrap up on the Streamlined Solopreneur, a short episode where I talk about three things: what's on my mind this week, recommended reading, and something fun. This is the show to help you automate your business so you can take time off worry free. And hopefully, this curation will help you think more about how you're spending your time. I'm your host, Joe Casabona, and here's what's on my mind for July 10th, 2026. First of all, you can tell I am not reporting from my normal recording space. I am in a hotel room in Crystal Lake, Illinois for MacStock, specifically Ecamm's Creator Camp MacStock Edition. I spoke yesterday. It was wonderful. I got to give a somewhat new talk and a new concept, and it seemed really well received. So I am excited to workshop this a little more, especially since I will be speaking at several more events this year. But that's not what's on my mind. What's on my mind is Claude. One of the big things I've been noticing recently is it really seems like Claude is winning the AI war, at least among business owners and tech nerds. Yesterday, for example, I was one of many speakers who talked about how we use AI in our system while still showing up for our audience and our clients and customers. And all of us mentioned Claude specifically. Nobody said, oh, I use ChatGPT for this and Gemini for that. It's pretty much all Claude all the time. And I can't help but wonder if Claude has won the AI war. And I know that is a very crazy thing to say. We're still really early days, and I have been a strong critic of most large language models and companies behind large language models. They're all going for IPOs, but as far as performance goes, Claude appears to be doing better than most. Now, Gemini is getting a boost, right, in iOS 27, but as far as anecdotally, who I or the large language model I see most people in my niche, in my space using, it's Claude. And it makes sense. Claude is extremely capable as far as word calculators go. Fable, I am testing it out now, and I'm not going to say it's like groundbreaking or amazing. It's come up with a plan for me, and we'll see how good that plan is. But it also has, in my experience, the strongest convictions to adhere to controls or rules. My friend Doc over at, Doc Rock at Ecamm was explaining the difference to somebody and mentioned that Claude is a constitutional model, which means it has a strong set of rules it tries to follow. And I've noticed that. And that's one of the reasons that I have felt more comfortable using Claude, because even though, I never have it write whole cloth for me, and in times where I've asked it to, it says hey, in your own rules, you say I can't. I like and appreciate that. I think it also connects to a lot more things. During my talk yesterday, it was largely about automation and moving files around and having transcripts and doing things like that. And Claude Cowork is the thing I might have recommended the most, right? It's really good, especially for on-device automations. It kind of bridges this gap between on-device automations and web automations, right? Where Zapier can't go into your computer and get something. Claude can, and working with shortcuts and Claude and Zapier, you can do a lot of really interesting things. So I don't know. I'm not ready to say that Claude has won, but anecdotally, I've been hearing a lot more about Claude lately than ChatGPT or Gemini or anything else. So that's the one I use exclusively too. So this could be a Dunning-Kruger effect where I'm using it the most and so I'm seeing it the most, but I don't think that's the case. I hear people outside my niche, like my wife and a lot of people who are maybe employed by another person or not running their own business or not technically savvy, they use ChatGPT, and that's probably because it's got, the biggest name recognition. But as far as capabilities go, it seems that Claude is the most capable, right? All right, so that is what's on my mind. Recommended reading on the plane into Chicago, which is the major airport I flew into. I finished reading the Odyssey, the Emily Wilson version. You can see it behind me over here somewhere. I really enjoyed it. I was excited to, I was really, I had about 100 pages left when I started my plane ride, and I was very dedicated to finishing it. And I'm really glad I did. It was a fun, interesting read. And just, it's my first time reading the Homeric poems. And I'm really mad at myself for not reading them sooner. But I am glad, as you know, I hear that people who have like a background in this uh, didn't really like Emily Wilson's version, or maybe it's just like people have their opinions. I really enjoyed Emily Wilson's version. I felt like it was not hard to understand. She provided a lot of context and a lot of additional notes and pronunciation guides, and it an easier read for a normie like me. I am very excited to see the movie. I'm thinking about watching Troy before the movie comes out, even though they're not related and they've got different directors and they're 20 years apart. And Troy is from what I remember largely based on the Iliad, right? Brad Pitt played Achilles, right? So, and it was very focused on Troy, which was something I learned reading the Odyssey, is that the Odyssey is not. It's like what happened years after Troy, with Odysseus trying to get home. So anyway, I loved reading it. I'm very happy with my current reading regime, I guess, of not really reading business books and reading things that maybe I should have read when I was younger. So strongly recommend the Odyssey, the Emily Wilson version. That is my recommended reading for this week. And if you take me up on that, it'll probably take you a little longer than a week. Okay, now for something fun. I was talking to my friend's son the first night of the conference, and he asked me, he's 18, and he asked me, what kind of music I listen to and what I've been listening to lately. And I told him about my 5 CD changer playlist. And if you don't know about my 5 player change list, 5 CD changer playlist, it's a really fun and kind of dumb concept. It is a playlist that I have in Apple Music that is 5 albums and only 5 albums, like the 5 CD changer players of yore. And I have a few rules for this playlist. I cannot put it on shuffle. I have to listen to the albums in order from where I start. So I can start at the first song of the second album, but I have to listen to it through. I can start, at the first song of the last album, but I have to listen to it through. And so it's just a fun little, having constraints like that makes it it makes you think a little bit more about what you're going to do. Like, am I going to want to listen to this album in an hour? Right. So stuff like that. So my 5 CD changer playlist for this week is a lot of albums from the summer of my youth, and then one that is not even remotely from the summer of my youth. So I thought I would just tell you what's on mine, and then something that maybe you can think about is what would currently be on yours. And I keep this updated on my Now page over at casabona.org/now. But right now it is Sticks and Stones by Newfound Glory. 2002, I believe, is when that album came out. And it was a big part of my junior year summer. Enema of the State by Blink-182, that came out in 1998 and was maybe my first summer teenager teen angst album. So Long Astoria by the Ataris, that came out in 2003. And that was summer after my senior year, the summer before college. And I feel like it was very well timed for that. Louder Now by Taking Back Sunday. This was really spring into summer 2006, so I was already in college. And then the one that's not like the others, but I've been really enjoying it, You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love by Olivia Rodrigo. And the reason I've been enjoying this album is because it has a really strong, late 80s feel to it, heavily influenced by The Cure. Robert Smith is even on a song. The song Expectations is very like techno, like 80s techno pop. And it's just a very enjoyable album. Olivia Rodrigo, incredibly talented. And I've been really enjoying that album. So that is my something fun for the week. There's no automation of the week this week, but I will share a link to my slides from the talk so you can kind of see what I talked about. You can get my Solopreneur starter kit, which comes with a bunch of automations, planners, AI swipe files, and prompts over at streamlined.fm/wrap. So if you want to see more about what I'm doing, how I help solopreneurs, you can head over to streamlined.fm/wrap. That's it for this episode of the Friday wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, I hope you find some space in your week.